What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, Keith Thurman, again, takes the opportunity to take a jab at Terence Crawford, stating that he is the best welterweight at 147 pounds, and that Terence Crawford, well, he says that he's number one, and he says Errol Spence is number two, and he says that Terence Crawford comes anywhere to leads up to anybody's imagination. He says he scrambled somewhere else in the mix after that. He said he doesn't have the credentials, he's not credible, and you know, he's been saying this, that Terence Crawford has done nothing at 147. He has no credentials, he's not credible, and he doesn't even count him, point blank and period. He states that he's the best, and then Errol Spence falls in line after him at number two, and then you get all the rest. My thing is this with Keith Thurman. I don't understand his reasoning for continuously to discredit Terence Crawford. Although Terence Crawford only had 2 fights at welterweight, the Jeff Horn fight, and then he had Jose Benavidez. But Keith Thurman hasn't beat world beaters. He's beaten 2 fighters, 2 credible fighters himself at 147, which is Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, which were both close fights. And some people had Danny Garcia winning, some people had Sean Porter winning. So they were both very close fights. And outside of that, Keith Thurman doesn't have a whole bunch of names on his resume. So I think that a lot of times these fighters knock Terence Crawford record because a lot of his accomplishments came at a lower weight as he was building his resume up. With that said, you know, we've seen plenty of fighters' resume be built up, and you know, they're not discredited. A la Floyd Mayweather, a la Oscar De La Hoya, a la Shane Mosley. These fighters are all fighters that fought in lower weight classes, but their credibility as they came up to 47 wasn't in question. It just was that people were saying, I don't know if they could handle this guy or that guy due to their size, right? But they never questioned their resume. You know, they never said that, oh, well, this guy, you know, who has he beat? So he doesn't even fall in line anywhere in the welterweight division. Leave it up to imagination. You pick and choose where he falls at. I understand that Keith Thurman is trying to steal back the limelight because he lost a lot of luster in the whole situation with being inactive, being injured, and so on and so forth. Terence Crawford became the name in the sport of boxing. He's recognized as the pound-for-pound best fighter in the sport of boxing. Then you look at Errol Spence is looked at as the boogeyman division. Then you look at Sean Porter, who came in for a close fight with Keith Thurman. Sean Porter arguably has, well, it's not even arguably, Sean Porter has the best resume at welterweight, point blank and period. Sean Porter has the best resume at welterweight. Keith Thurman beat Sean Porter in a close fight, and he beat Danny Garcia. But Keith Thurman, ironically, Keith Thurman wasn't screaming this when he wanted to fight Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia, all his accomplishments came at lower weight classes, right? But Keith Thurman was banging the drum to fight Danny Garcia, right? What did Danny Garcia prove before he fought Keith Thurman? He beat Robert Guerrero in a very close fight, which shouldn't have, people felt like that shouldn't have been as close as it was, right? He beat Paulie Malignaggi, who was obviously past his prime, right? And he beat Zab Judah, which Zab Judah, that fight was at 140, actually. So Danny Garcia, you jumped at the bit to fight Danny Garcia, but Danny Garcia didn't have a resume like Terence Crawford. Arguably, Terence Crawford's resume coming up in the lower weight classes is more decorated than Danny Garcia. But you jumped at the bit to fight Danny Garcia, but you discredit Terence Crawford. Why? Is that because you recognize Terence Crawford's skill set? Right? Terence Crawford's skill set is not like Danny Garcia. He's not there for the pickings. No disrespect to Danny Garcia, but a lot of people sleep on Danny Garcia because he's not the flashiest, he's not the fastest, he doesn't have the best footwork. He just knows how to win. But Terence Crawford, right, has a arsenal full of skill sets. He could box, he could brawl, he could punch, he could do whatever. right? So I continuously question, why does Keith Thurman question Terence Crawford's resume? Why do you continue to discredit Terence Crawford's resume? Because you see him as a threat, maybe, to you? Maybe that's the reason that he sees, you know, he questions Terence Crawford's resume. Because Keith Thurman, we know he was banging a drum to fight Danny Garcia. He wanted that fight so bad, right? And you can't say he wanted the Danny Garcia fight due to the fact that Danny Garcia had a belt, because Terence Crawford has a belt. So what's the difference, right? I think that Keith Thurman sees Terence Crawford as the threat because Terence Crawford has the boxing ability to match Keith Thurman. I think Keith Thurman looks at Errol Spence and he feels like Errol Spence is flat-footed. Even though a lot of people feel like that Keith Thurman ducks Errol Spence, but he feels like he's flat-footed. He feels like he could outbox Errol Spence. I think that he feels like Terence Crawford is a much difficult fight, so he tries to discredit him. So by saying that, Sean Porter has the best resume at the welterweight division, bar none, hands down. I don't care what you guys say. I don't care what people say. Is Sean Porter scared of this fighter? He's ducking that fighter. Sean Porter has the best resume at the welterweight division. Sean Porter's for Andre Berto. Sean Porter's for Devin Alexander in his prime, in his heyday. Sean Porter has fought Paulie Malignaggi. Sean Porter has fought Keith Thurman. Sean fought in a close fight. That decision could have went either way. Sean Porter has beat Danny Garcia, right? And the list goes on. Nobody has a resume as decorated as Sean Porter at welterweight division. So arguably, you could say Sean Porter is the best welterweight. You know, the thing that separates Sean Porter and Keith Thurman is that Keith Thurman holds a victory over him. He was in the ring with Kell Brook in another close fight, which he lost. It was a very close fight. That could have went either way, which way again. So Sean Porter has the best resume in the welterweight division, bar none. So, you know, Keith Thurman, man, he said in 2020, we're going to see the fights between himself and Errol Spence. And we're going to see the fights between himself and Terence Crawford. And obviously in 2019, he's going to be looking to fight Sean Porter, as he stated that he's missing one of his belts and he's looking to collect it. So only way he could collect it, because I favor Sean Porter to beat Ugas. No disrespect to Ugas, but I think that Sean Porter is gonna beat Ugas. Right? So obviously the end of 2019, Keith Thurman is gonna look to enforce the fight with Sean Porter, because he's the mandatory for the WBC. So he's gonna be looking to face Sean Porter again. And that's not an easy fight for Keith Thurman. That's not a guaranteed victory for Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. It's just not. Sean Porter, listen, that's a 50-50 fight right now. I thought it was a 50-50 fight before, and we saw how it played out. And now with the injuries, we don't know if Keith Thurman is going to be the same Keith Thurman. That's going to be a very difficult fight for Keith Thurman. And he's going to go, obviously, after he fight Josito Lopez, he's going to go into the fight with Sean Porter, which is not a gimme. So that I'm looking to see, I'm seeing that that's probably going to happen somewhere in the summer or the fall. And then Keith Thurman probably is going to take off the rest of the year. Should he be victorious against Sean Porter? But I think that's going to be a tough fight. So I think that Keith Thurman may go the route of having another tune-up fight after Josito Lopez. No disrespect to Josito Lopez. But Keith Thurman may look to have another tune-up fight after that. And then get in the ring with Sean Porter in the winter of 2019. That would be the smart move to do, right? A lot Tyson Fury did with Deontay Wilder. Fought 2 tune-ups and then went into the Wilder fight. I could see that's more likely. Keith Thurman has 2 tune-up fights and then going to the Sean Porter fight. The thing is, where does Sean Porter go? Because can Sean Porter stay inactive? Because we know Errol Spence is going to be banging the drum to fight Sean Porter, seeing as though he get past Mikey Garcia in March. But we know that Sean Porter's fighting March 9th. Keith Thurman fighting in January. So, you know, that's the spring. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that Sean Porter won't fight again till the fall, maybe the winter, against Keith Thurman. But the thing is, can he stay that inactive until Keith Thurman fight with Errol Spence looking to make the fight with Sean Porter? Interesting. The welterweight division is at an all-time high. It's lit. This is our version of the golden era. Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, Roberto Duran, you know, so on and so forth. I know a lot of people gonna say, oh, they not them, but listen, in their era, people were saying they wasn't the people before their era, the fighters before their era, because you're living in the moment. Now, afterwards, we say that, you know, that was the golden era. But this is no shortage. We got Shawn Porter. We got Keith Thurman. We got Terence Crawford. We got Errol Spence. We got Danny Garcia. Kell Brooks say he coming back. Amir Khan. You know, so the list goes on. Ugas is not a bad fight, you know. Mikey Garcia making his way to 47. Interesting times and lit times in that welterweight division. But that's all I got. Let me know what y'all think, man. Keith Thurman says that Terence Crawford did nothing and has no credibility at the welterweight division, and he doesn't even count him. He dismisses him. That's all I got for you. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for you. It's your boy Blue. Peace.